गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are on the chapter called Tattva Viveka of the Panchadashi. This is the chapter 1, and it's Tattva is the essence, the principle, and Viveka means discrimination. Discrimination of the principle. Which principle? The reality principle. And we are looking at that. And last week we saw that tat padam buruham dvandva seva nirmala chetasam sukha bodhaya tattvasya vivekoyam vidhiyate. This discrimination of the reality is designed for the effortless comprehension of the truth. And who can recognize this effortlessly? Those who are seva nirmala chetasam. Nirmala chetasam. Those who have a pure mind. A pure mind is an expanded mind. A pure mind is equal to less number of thoughts erupting in the mind. A pure mind is a content mind. A pure mind is that womb in which the Lord is almost accessible, because it reflects fully there without any impurity. And then naturally the question will be, what are the impurities which make a pure mind into an impure mind? And we saw that last week, that there are 3 types of impurities: the tamasic impurity, the rajasic impurity, and the sattvic impurity. Tamasic impurity was nidra, alasya, pramad, sleep, laziness, and inadvertence, procrastination. And then once we have come out of that, we come to the rajas, where the workaholic dynamism that is there, we need to go beyond that, and from many thoughts we need to come to the sattvic thought. Only when the dynamism is surrendered at the feet of the divine principle, at the feet of the essence, at the feet of the self, then alone this rajas attitude can become sattvic. If the ego thinks that it is going to make the dynamism into sattva, convert it into sattva, into purity, it is not possible. It happens only by way of grace. And therefore understand, another way of looking at it is that the sleep, laziness, procrastination, and inadvertence, they cannot express without the reality. The dynamism of thoughts and activity, they cannot happen without reality, because the reality has to be the substratum. And also the purity. Purity cannot be purity without the substratum, without the basis, without the foundation. So where is our mind? Our mind is on the variety called the sattva, rajas, tamas. when we are discriminating the real principle, our attention must come on to that which is the unchanging principle. So the purpose of telling the three impurities was not so that you become a wow effect about these impurities are there in me. No, it was told so that our attention while talking about them, the tamasic, rajasic or sattvic, while talking about them and understanding them, our attention goes to the substratum. Even while listening, we are aware that these three aberrations within our mind are not possible without the substratum, and that substratum is the real principle. Till here we did so it was told, who is qualified? Qualified is the person who has got nirmala chetasam, who has got pure mind. What is the sambandha? What is the relationship between the seeker and the sought? What is he seeking? The real principle. What is the relationship? That he has to discover that which he is seeking as his own self. That is the relationship between the goal and the seeker, right? Sukha bodhaya tattvasya vivekoyam vidhiyate. Who have cleansed their mind of all impurities and serving the lotus feet of the Guru. Sukha bodhaya tattvasya. They can come to know the substratum, the reality, only when they are completely content. Sukha bodhaya. Bodhaya means come to know. To know. And it is only possible when they are in a happy disposition, not when you are agitated. Vivekoyam vidhiyate, and this will be, this discrimination is explained for effortlessly coming to know this self even while we are contemplating on it. Now till here we did last week, and now why do they say that the reality has to be known effortlessly? We are told, put efforts. We are putting efforts in understanding, coming to the class. We are putting efforts in speaking, explaining that principle. We are putting efforts through yoga, bhajan, japa, etc., etc., devotion, singing. You are putting efforts from coming from your home till here. Then why they are saying that know it effortlessly?
There's nothing we can do.
You are that. You
What?
are that child.
You are?
You are that.
You are that. True. Then why are you putting efforts? She drives more than 100 kilometers every Wednesday. Then how do we convert effort into effortlessness? Tell me. Or not how do we convert, how does effort get converted into effortlessness?
Knowledge. It just happens.
She says knowledge, she says it just happens. What do you say, Lois?
Acknowledging that this does not come from our efforts.
Okay, acknowledging. How does the conversion of effort into effortlessness happen?
God's grace.
Huh?
God's grace.
God's grace.
Of its own accord.
Huh?
Of its own accord.
Of its own accord.
Guru
E-
Vachana.
Huh?
Guru Vachana.
Guru Vachana. Is there a time lapse between effort and effortlessness?
No.
Is there a time lapse
No.
between effort and effortlessness?
No, because it's effortless. Effort.
So, can you be effortless while effort is taking place? Can you be effortless while effort is being put?
Yes, you can.
It's a state of mind, isn't it?
You put effort to realize it, then when you realize, no effort.
The
Yes,
action is
if you fight in it and then do
Hmm?
it, if you fight in it through your effort, yes.
You have faith in it and you put efforts, then yes.
the,
My initial question was, while putting efforts, can you be effortless?
yes.
How?
I'm not the doer.
I am not the doer. But then your attention is, I am not the doer. Something more. While putting efforts, if the attention is on the infinite, that even these efforts are happening at the thought, word and deed, these efforts are happening by His grace, not because of my doing. Initially it seems that I am doing, but if these efforts are continuously offered as an offering to the divine, so our attention shifts from the action, from the effort to the infinite principle. And when our attention remains steady on the infinite principle, even while doing the activity, effortlessness is brought about. It happens, as she said. It's grace, as someone said. It happens. So for that, I have to put effort now, and one day I will reach. That attitude, that mindset we should not have. Even while putting the efforts right here and now, the reality is not some later period of time, isn't it? And for that, two things have to be dropped. As Bhagavad Gita says, drop the doership, drop the
Fruits of that.
fruit of the action. When these two, first fruit of the action, when you do that, automatically the capacity to understand that the activities that are happening in your life are not happening because of you, but because of His grace. They're just happening. When this recognition comes, at that very moment you are living an effortless life. At that very moment. So if right now you are putting efforts in understanding and I am putting efforts in speaking, then we have lost the plot. And yet, I must put efforts to the best of my ability, because when you offer something to the divine, it should be the best, isn't it? It cannot be second best. When you are listening, you have to be the best listener, not the second best listener. And that capacity, that ability is only possible when our attention is on the divine principle. Not on the speaking, not on the listening, but on the one in whose presence this speaking and listening is taking place.
So the Gita chapter 3, action in inaction.
Exactly.
The same more or less.
Correct, similar. That is a recognition. That is a recognition by the mind that while activity is taking place, there is no activity taking place. When no activity is taking place, still there is activity taking place. For example, when you are sleeping, all your physiological functions are still going on, isn't it? They are still going on. You may not be active, you are not moving, you are just sitting in one place in a train, but the train is moving pretty fast. So you are moving. You may yourself not be moving, but the train is moving. So you are inactive, but activity is taking place. See? Similarly, when you are active, there is an inactive principle. Inactive principle meaning there is some substratum in whose presence all this is taking place. Shabdasparshadayo vedya, Shabdasparshadayo vedya, Vaichitrya jagare pruthak, Vaichitrya jagare pruthak. Verse 3. Tato vibhakta tat samvita, Tato vibhakta tat samvita, Ekarupyanna bhidyate, Ekarupyanna bhidyate. Once again, Shabdasparshadayo vedya, Vaichitrya jagare pruthak, Pruthak. Tato vibhakta tat samvita, Ekarupyanna bhidyate. Now, what he is saying is, he is going to address the waking. Our life moves only in three areas. What are they? On a daily basis. They are the waking state, dream state and deep sleep state. Each state comes and the other two vanish, isn't it? And I think it was the last week when I said, but we have never had an experience of our own absence, have we? Whether we are awake in the waking plane, or we are in the dream plane, or we are in the deep sleep plane, we have never lost ourselves. We are always there. The waking plane comes and loses itself, dream comes and loses itself, deep sleep comes and loses itself. But I, the knower of these three, is always present. From childhood till today, these three have been coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, and I have known them, isn't it? Now these three are being inquired into. It says, what is this waking state? In the waking state, the objects like sound, touch, smell, etc. are many and different from each other. The consciousness establishing their differences being one is not different like the objects. Are you? So, what is the waking state? What is the quality of the waking state? What is the characteristics of the waking state? That there are many objects, isn't it? Eyes see many objects, ear hear many sounds, nose smells many fragrances, tongue tastes many tastes, skin feels so many different textures. But there is only one who comes to say come to know all this variety. So the waking state may appear as a myriad of experiences, but the knower of all these is only one. He does not become many, isn't it? So whether in the waking state you express as a mother, a father, a daughter, a sister, a colleague, an employer, employee, but the experiencer is one. Because so many expressions are there, you have not become many. You are still the one. This is the quality of the the waking state. Objects are many, but the experiencer is one. The consciousness which functions through the eyes and illuminates all the names and forms, the consciousness which goes through the five senses and illuminates the various objects and comes to know them, cognizes them, is one and the same. Because there are five senses, we don't have five consciousnesses, isn't it? Because your people call you by five different names, you have not become five. You are still one. So how do you lose the plot? When you concentrate on the five. How do you come back to yourself? When you recognize you are that one without whom these five cannot survive. See? It is this consciousness because of which these differences are possible. But the differences in the world, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, these differences, it means seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, these differences, they are not able to corrupt the consciousness. It is not possible. They cannot influence the consciousness. They cannot corrupt the consciousness. They cannot influence the consciousness because they don't have that power. But sir, we still get influenced by these sometimes. It seems that way. That I see something beautiful, I get attracted, isn't it? Who is getting attracted? The eyes get attracted, the mind gets attracted. Consciousness is just illuminating it. See? In the waking state, the consciousness gets identified with the gross body and the world is born. So when is the, come in. So when is the world born? When is the world born? The moment consciousness gets identified to the gross body. Which world we are talking about? The waking world. The waking world is created. See? So till you are sleeping, there is no question of where the waking world is. But the first sign of waking up, even then the world has not become available to you. But the moment you get identified with the body, with that body you get identified to the senses, and automatically with that, slowly, the world enters you. Or you enter the world, whichever way you put it. So in this way, the eye perceives a multiplicity of objects of knowledge as seen, heard, felt, tasted, smelt, and depending on the senses through which perception takes place. And all these objects of knowledge differ from each other by their specific characteristics. That is self-explanatory, that all the objects are separate to each other. Seeing objects are different to the heard objects, are different to the tasted objects, are different to the smelt objects, etc. But the one who is experiencing them is the same. But the one who is illuminating them is the same. And what is the basic prerequisite that is required in order to illuminate these objects, the five sensory object perceptions in the which make the world? That the consciousness must get identified to the body. In the deep sleep state, where consciousness is withdrawn from the body, you cannot illuminate the waking world, isn't it? Understand this way. That the waking world is possible only when we are identified with the gross body. And this is happening. This is happening. You remain aware. Consciousness is not only functioning through this one, it's functioning through all the bodies. Even if the body is sleeping, it is the same consciousness. If it is waking, it's the same consciousness. If it is dreaming, it's the same consciousness. It is not many consciousnesses, it's one consciousness. However, the consciousness, the Samvit, which is different from these pluralistic world of objects of knowledge, is only one. It does not become many. So this consciousness is called here in this verse as Samvit. Sama, equanimous. With, to know. It is known through equanimity. It is of this nature of equanimity. Equanimity is when you do not sway, you do not oscillate, you do not function and get disturbed by the extremes of opposites. You remain in the middle. Through all the great changes of perceptions, the consciousness remains one. Consciousness remains one and only one. To withdraw the mind from the multiplicity of sounds, sights, etc., and fix it on the Samvit, which is illuminating this plurality, is the potent method of contemplation. So here, first, third verse, again he is bringing. Remember, Panchadashi is not about intellectual appreciation of how beautifully the topic has been unfolded. No. Panchadashi is a topic, is a text, is a set of verses in which every opportunity is taken to bring our attention to the substratum. So the moment we are talking about waking state, consciousness identified with the gross body experiences the waking state. That is the normal scenario. Majority of the people don't even know what is a waking state. This is what waking state is. Now, how, while being in the waking state, you can withdraw from the waking state, which will be equal to meditation. While being in waking state, you put your attention, what is that because of which all the sounds, all the forms, all the colors, all the tastes are being illumined. And they are being illuminated, it's your experience. Right now, here in this room, your eyes are illuminating so many different things, your nose is smelling different things, your ears are hearing so many different words. But you are that one. Focus your attention on that one without a second principle. Again and again and again and again. If it gets boring, find the inspiration to focus on him. Because that is the truth, that is the goal. Who is getting bored? Mind. Recognize. Oh, mind is getting bored, but I am illuminating the mind. Find the fun in that also. You lose the fun when you enter the mind and start thinking that I am the mind. That's where the problem comes. But if you can stand apart and whatever is going on in your life, you can convert it into I am illuminating that, whether it is happening inside or outside. It has to bring about joy. It has to bring a smile to your face. What about the dream state? Tatha swapnetra vedyam tu. Netra vedyam tu. Nasthiram jagare sthiram. Nasthiram jagare sthiram. तद्भेदोतस्तयो संवित् तद्भेदोतस्तयो संवित् एकरूपा न भिद्यते एकरूपा न भिद्यते. Similar is true with reference to dream state, although the objects seem to be stable in the waking and not in the dream. This difference between the dream and the waking state seems to be true, but the consciousness is one and does not differ in two states. Here, in the waking state, I know this house is an object and it is stable. It's not going to go anywhere tomorrow also. Isn't it? If you go back from here, you will still find your house standing where you left it. Maybe the kitchen will be messy. That's a different matter. Huh? Mountains are still there, the rivers are still there, the husband is still there, the wife is still there. This is the quality of the waking state. But whereas in dream state, every day it's unstable. Within one dream itself, things keep changing very fast. Sometimes you go through lifetimes, isn't it? And next day, after waking up 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, if why 10, 15 minutes, even after 1 minute, if you want to remember where were you in the dream, you can't remember. Isn't it? It's that unstable. So we are talking about, what are we talking about? Stable and unstable? What are we talking about? Stable and unstable.
The dream and the waking.
Yes. And the objects in the waking and the objects in the dream we are talking about. Objects in the waking and objects in the dream. Objects in the waking are stable, objects in the dream are unstable, moving, fluid. But the consciousness which is illuminating the stable objects and the consciousness which is illuminating the unstable objects continues to be the same. No? Continues to be the same. It does not become stable or unstable. It does not become unstable or stable. Then why do we complain in life? Because we get identified to instability. That's what brings about frustration, stress, as if everything is there, but everything is slipping out of your hands. You know you are alive, but life is slipping out of your hands. You can't control it. You are moving towards death. Instability, isn't it? But on the other hand, I'm still there, stable. Movement is not in your control. That brings about the fear. When you identify with the objects, then this fear comes. And you will identify with the objects only when first you are identified with the body. Only then you will identify with the object. Instead of all this, instead of identifying with the images, with the thoughts, with the sounds, with the tastes, etc., identify with the one who is illuminating them. That will be more worthy. That will be fruitful, if we may say that.
Swamiji, dream, can't we say that is the thoughts coming to our mind about the object?
Of course,
That's all.
of course. They are thoughts of the object coming into your mind. Why they are coming into your mind?
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business, because impressions have been created in the waking state. See, it could be impressions from the waking state, or it could be memories from this life or past life. which are appearing as the forms in the dream, the sounds in the dream. We saw that somewhere else. In waking state, the object of the thought and thought of the object are separate. In the dream, the object of the thought and the thought of the object is one and is the mind alone. So here I use the word camera in the waking state, and the word is representing an object called camera, isn't it? And that is there. So the word camera and the actual camera are two separate things. Whereas in the dream, the thought camera and the object camera is one and same, one and the same, appearing at the same time. Think at this moment, your sun. The image of the sun and the sun's name will immediately appear in your mind. They are not separate. The difference between the dream state and the waking state is that in the former, in the dream state, that is the dream state, the objects of the dream world keep changing, while those of the waking world seem to be permanent in comparison to the dream state. Tat tayo bheda samvid ekarupana bhidyate. Thus, there is a difference between the two states. However, the consciousness is only one. Samvit eka rupana bhidyate. Bhidyate means there is no breakup in the samvit. There is no breakup in the consciousness on account of waking and dream. So you can, the variety of objects in the waking plane can be brought down to one, that is waking plane. Waking plane defines the variety, isn't it? The variety of dreams and all the experiences that erupt there, all can be put under one umbrella term, dream. So when we say the consciousness is illuminating the waking and the dream, that connotes all the various the objects that comprise the waking and the dream. Important point here, yes, we have understood because of identification with the body, waking world is, we have understood the waking world is stable as compared to the dream state. But our idea is not to prove or disprove that. Our point is recognize that you are doing this, that in your dream state and in your waking state, you are the observer, and shift your attention to the observer. Shift your attention to the one within you who is illuminating both. Don't you know? Are you not aware of the waking state? Are you not aware of the dream state? Therefore, put attention on that. Now, regarding the deep sleep state, supto thitasya saushupta, saupto thitasya saushupta, tamo bodho bhavet smrutihi, tamo bodho bhavet smrutihi, sa chava buddha vishaya, chava buddha vishaya, avabuddham tattadātamaha, avabuddham tattadātamaha. For a person awakened from deep sleep, the ignorance of deep sleep is known in the form of memory. This memory is that of the object. That object is the ignorance experienced during deep sleep. Therefore, the consciousness alone illumined the ignorance in deep sleep. So now we have addressed the waking state. We saw consciousness illumined the objects of the waking state. We saw the consciousness illumined the objects of the dream state which were unsteady. And now we are seeing that it is the same consciousness which has illumined the object of a deep sleep. What is the object of deep sleep? Nothingness. It is ignorance. Because when we wake up, if someone asks, what did you dream? No, there's nothing. So that nothing was illumined by someone, was known by someone, and that one who knew, who illuminated the nothingness in the mind in the deep sleep state is the conscious principle that you are. Recognize yourself in this way. This is contemplation. No, but I was not there in the deep sleep. Nobody has experienced that they were in the deep sleep, isn't it? No, but I was not there. How can you say that? Then tell me, who came to know that there was nothing? You woke up, isn't it? If you woke up and you are answering my question that what dream did you have, and you said there was no dream, how do you know that there was no dream? How do you know that there was nothing? Someone was watching, the memory of nothing must have been there. That's why it's clicking now. This experience of ignorance is illumined by the consciousness, which is in unmanifest form in the deep sleep state. The same consciousness illumines the experiences of the waking state, the dream state, and the absence of everything in the deep sleep state. So, this is our life. From birth till we die. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Every day of our existence, we go through these three. Some people go through daydreaming also. That also is dream. So waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. And we are caught up in that cycle. Nobody has taught us to look beyond it. Nobody has taught us that you are not the waker, you are not the dreamer, you are not the deep sleeper, you are someone else who is illuminating that. The capacity to appreciate even what we are talking right now, it requires the grace, if you are appreciating it. Even to appreciate it. Because majority of the people are just living in the rut. Just living in the rut. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. Waking, dream, deep sleep. As if tomorrow, so what are we going to do tonight? We are going to sleep. What are you going to do tomorrow? I am going to wake up. What if you don't come out of the bed? Then I will dream for a little bit more. Then what will you do during the waking, when you wake up? Then I'll go to work. So you will get involved in the objects of the world. Then you will come back home and you will go to sleep. Maybe you dream a little and after that you go to deep sleep. Because without deep sleep you will not feel rejuvenated the next day. And we just fall without thinking, without ever... without, how should I say, it's no one's fault.
Without being aware of it.
Without being aware of that there is something else going on here. For my whole life I have gone through this cycle of three and I have known it. Do I have to study a book called Panchadashi or read the Upanishads to analyze that I know all the wakers from birth till today? Because they came and went. They could not have come and gone without me being there. If I am knowing that I have been the waker for last 50 years every day, I have been aware that there have been dreamers for the last 50 years, and I have been aware that I have been a deep sleeper for last 50 years, then should I not make at least one attempt to know who is this person who has come, who has been aware? It's natural, isn't it? But we live a life of ignorance. We do what everyone does. Spiritual path requires a different approach. You have to start thinking laterally. If you have done what you have been doing, you will keep getting what you have got. You have to do something different in order to get something different. Even though the goal that we are seeking is not to be gained, it is already gained. All that is required is recognition. But it requires a different approach. And one of the approaches is this: recognize the waking, dream and the deep sleep states that you are going through on a daily basis are illumined by the conscious principle. That conscious principle, I am. So don't take position. If you get identified with the waking state, then that waker will become the husband, then that waker will become the wife, that waker will become agitated, that waker will be ambitious, that waker will want to do so many things. And he wants to maintain the continuity of the waking plane. Every day he gets up and continues from where he left the waking state yesterday. Tonight you will sleep, and tomorrow morning when you wake up, you will continue from where you left your activities today. Why don't you do the same thing in your dream? You left the dream yesterday. Did you, when you go into dream tonight, do you say, oh, I left the dream there, let me begin from there? What foolishness that we are creating a continuity where there is no continuity. As much value you give to your dream, how much value do you give to your dream? Zero value when you wake up. That much value we have to give to the waking plane also. Zero value. But sir, it is very difficult to give zero value. What about my responsibilities? What about my colleagues? What about my friends? What about my wife? What about my aspirations? What about my investments? What about my health? Keep working towards it, but with awareness. And pray to the divine that the wisdom will dawn when you are able to give the same value to the waking plane as much as you give to the dream plane. Very bitter pill to digest, but that is the truth. Can't deny it. Otherwise, start building, continuing living in the dream world which you left yesterday. I'll ask every one of you, you won't even know what you dreamed yesterday. Why? Because the objects in the dream are unstable. Objects in the waking world are stable. Therefore, we feel they are continuing. There is a continuity in them. Come back to the awareness. Come back to the awareness. This consciousness that is illuminating the differences of waking, dream or deep sleep state is one without a second. Sabodho vishayan bhinno. Sabodho vishayat bhinno. Na bodhat swapna bodhavat. Na bodhat swapna bodhavat. Evam sthanatrayepyeka. Evam sthanatrayepyeka. Samvittad Tadvaddinantare samvattadvidantare. The knowledge of the deep sleep is different from object, that is ignorance, but not from the consciousness, but is the same that illumined the dream experience. In this way, the consciousness is one in all three planes. So is true for all time to come. It's not that in future period of time this consciousness will become three. It will not. It will not become three. Paramatma is one. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh came. There are many of them, millions, zillions of them, because there are that many universes. So waking, dream and deep sleep is at the individual level, and this waking, dream and deep sleep at the totality level. Because in a relative existence, the micro and the macro have to be there. So remember last week we talked, in the relative body, the micro body is called Vishwa. The total body is called Virat. The individual mind, or sorry, I shouldn't say the body, is the consciousness expressing through individual body is called Vishwa. The consciousness expressing through total body is called Virat. Consciousness expressing through individual mind is called Tejas. Consciousness expressing through total mind, which is dream state. Now, first was waking state, second is dream state. The consciousness expressing through the dream state is called Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is equal to Brahmaji. Vishwa is equal to, Virat is equal to Lord Vishnu. And consciousness expressing through individual deep sleep state is called, or the causal state is called as Prajna. And at the total level, it is called Ishvara, the Lord Shiva. See? But all these three at the micro level and the three at the macro level, these three are possible because of someone, no? They cannot just come by themselves. Who is that one who is expressing as Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, or Shiva, or is expressing as Vishwa, Tejas and Prajna? That one consciousness itself has become many, has become the three at the totality level and the three at the individual level. Is it difficult to understand? If we are going through three states, will not the totality also go through the three states? It has to. There is no other choice. Micro must reflect the macro, isn't it?
Consciousness and conscious.
Same.
It's the same.
Consciousness, conscious is...
Another one called conscience.
Conscience is the inner voice,
No.
the beliefs, the grace of the Lord which appears as the conscience.
Conscience.
So in this way, that knowledge of ignorance in the deep sleep state is different from the object, the ignorance, but not from itself. As we saw in the dream state, the knowledge aspect does not change. So the consciousness which was illuminating the nothingness is separate from that nothingness, in brackets ignorance. It was not ignorance. We cannot say I was ignorant. Arey, how can you be ignorant in deep sleep? You came to know that there was deep sleep when you woke up. So you were not ignorant. You were the observer that of utter absence in the mind, isn't it? Just like you observed the dream. So there is a dreamer, there is a dream, there is a dream world that is taking place. But you know that the dream came and went. When you wake up, how did you know? There must be someone else who was watching the dream experience. Similarly, there is someone who's watching the experience of the ignorance in the deep sleep. So you are not the ignorant person. So don't call yourself, I am ignorant Baba. No, you are the one who illuminated that ignorance, who observed that ignorance, who came to know that of the ignorance.
Swami, can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Who brings the memory of the dream into the waking state? It's not the waker that's got that memory of the dream, so that must be coming from a higher source.
Total.
So that comes to the waker.
Not comes to the waker, I'm sorry.
No, you know how the waker.
You feel
Yes.
that you are thinking of the dream while being the waker.
Yes.
See, consciousness is same.
Yeah.
The moment you are thinking of the dream as a replay,
Yeah.
you are not a waker. You are not a waker. You are not the waker. You are the consciousness. But if you get indulged in that dream, or you start a dialogue in your mind that, oh, that was a good dream or a bad dream, and start analyzing and start questioning, then how can waker has got no entry into the dream world. So waker can never come to know what happened in the dream. Then who came to know? You know it was you only, it cannot be someone else, isn't it? Contemplate in this way, who is this fellow who came to know? If you keep thinking, you will go into meditation. Everything will stop. You will come to the real you. You will come to the real you. Because real you supports everything without getting attached to anything. So that real you is supporting the waking. Even the waking, how do you remember yesterday? You are so involved in your day, you are so involved in listening, you are so involved with your family life, you are so involved with your grandkids. Then how do you remember yesterday if you are so involved? Someone must, even while this interaction is going on, there is someone who is observing the whole thing, isn't it? So even though the waker is expressing, there is someone else. Who is that? That is the fellow who is other than the mind. Waker is the I in the mind. Dreamer is the I in the mind. Deep sleeper is the I in the mind, if we may say that way. But the real you is not in the mind. It is outside the mind, who is illuminating the mind. That fellow knows all the three, all the time. The more you access that fellow, knowing that you cannot come to know him, but when you think in this manner, you know there must be someone. There must be someone. So even though you know you cannot reach it objectively, yet you know that it is the subjective, the only subject. As you keep thinking about it more and more, to the exclusion of all other wakers, dreamers or deep sleepers, don't take that position of waker, dreamer or deep sleeper. Slowly, slowly, everything will fall in place. Everything will be known to you. That's where the expansion takes place. Not expansion, abidance takes place. And the more you stay with it, the mind will keep expanding. The mind will stop, it will keep dropping away its issues. All types of issues. because you are not giving value to the mind. You are giving value to the one which cannot be known, the one which is the substratum, the one which is the real principle, the one who is illuminating the waker, dreamer and the deep sleeper.
Swamiji, in the waking state, we all have different experience in perceive the world or object. But what about the experience or awareness of the emptiness in the deep sleep state? Are they also different according to a person, or
It's the same.
it's the same?
If you come into this room, we all came into this room, right? Will our experiences be the same? Will her experience of room be the same as mine or be the same as hers?
No,
It will not, isn't it?
we will not.
Even right now,
Yeah,
it will not.
no.
I put all the lights off, utter darkness. Everyone comes into the room. What will be the experience of everyone?
It's the
It will be the same, isn't it? Exactly the same thing is happening in deep sleep. Deep sleep is one. It's not many deep sleeps. Darkness is one. Dreams can be different. Waking experience, the room is one. The waking experience is one. But your take is individual because you have taken the position of an individual. But if you become the awarer, then you can appreciate, you can be in this body and you can appreciate another person's point of view of looking at the room. Isn't it? So all the problems are coming in the world only because we are not able to understand each other. We are not able to put on the shoes of the other person. We only want to look at it from our angle. All other angles are wrong. My view of the world is the correct one. But unless and until we don't raise ourselves up from that view and take the total view, then there is some possibility of,
So, Amiji, if you sleep dreaming, and in the dream you know you are dreaming.
many times.
So who is observing?
That's,
Your
you
mind?
ask, it's not the mind. It cannot be the mind.
Is things going on dreams?
Yes.
And it's, dreaming.
Mhm.
So
That moment you have separated yourself. That moment you have separated yourself. See, waker, dreamer and deep sleeper, these are only figments of imagination. They are not reality. You are the reality. The consciousness is the reality. Because waking is because sun is rising, is sunrise a reality? No. Because there is a wave on the water, has the wave become a reality? No, water is the reality. Because you see the rainbow, is the rainbow reality? No. It's a refraction of light that is taking place. Because you put a stick in the water and see it crooked, is that crooked stick a reality? No. It's a optical illusion. Similarly, this waker, dreamer and deep sleeper is also not the reality. So life is giving us, many times it is giving us these experiences. Like she just now said, that many times I know the dream is going on. So if you know the dream is going on and you are not a part of the dream, you are the observer. Something has brought about that witnessing. Bring that about in the waking plane also. Rather than saying, I am this, I am the speaker, I am confused, I am having doubts, I am a spiritualist, I am this, I am a sannyasi, I am a mother, I am a father. No.
I've had the experience.
You go through all that,
Yeah.
you let the mind say all those because of old habits, but you don't lose the poise of being the observer.
I've had the experience of telling myself it's only a dream, not to worry, in the dream.
There you go.
Funny.
Yeah.
And I've told other people in the dream not to worry, it's a dream, and they wake up and I'm very awake.
Yeah. So this our problem is we put attention on the phenomena. We are not putting attention on the substratum. We are putting attention on the phenomena. And phenomena has got no answers. And don't forget, mind is also a phenomena. Don't take mind to be too real. As much the world is phenomena, that much mind is phenomena. And it is in this mind that the waking experience, the dream experience and the deep sleep experience is taking place. Manifest mind is called waking and dream, unmanifest mind is called deep sleep. Don't take it to be too real. What? The mind. These are just two polarities of the mind, experiences of the mind. And we get lost in that, we go on to analyze that, take a position separate to it. Yes, sometimes it can be hard, it can be challenging, but invoke the grace, He will bring it about. It can happen only by His grace. Because as long as you think that I am going to do it, it will not happen. Because I will remain strong. So in all humility, pursue this journey, pursue this thinking. Invoking the grace that, oh Lord, oh Divine, please. Thus in all the three planes of consciousnesses, the consciousness remains one and the same, the illuminator of the knowledge and the ignorance. Where does knowledge take place? In the waking and the dream. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of objects. And absence of objects is called ignorance. That's all. And both these, knowledge and ignorance, both are illuminated by the same consciousness. And that's the real you. In the same way, consciousness also does not change with time. Desha, kala, vastu, bheda. The differences on account of place, time or objects does not make any change in the consciousness. There are three factors because of which the consciousness as if gets conditioned, corrupted, and that is desha, kala, vastu. Time, desha is place, kala is time, and objects is vastu. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi in the yoga abhyas is to deal with desha, kala, vastu. Dharana is to deal with place, to go beyond place, to go beyond space, another way of putting it. Dharana, dhyana, dhyana is to go beyond time, and samadhi, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. Samadhi is to go beyond objectivity. So, recognize in this way that you are that because of. It may not be your experience right now. You may have an inkling of that, yeah, I understand, but continue. Continue hammering at it. Continue focusing on that which cannot be focused upon, cannot be thought upon. Slowly, 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 slowly. It will become your natural state. The consciousness is changeless is further emphasized. Masabda yuga kalpeshu, Masabda yuga kalpeshu, Gata gamyeshvane kadha, Gata gamyeshvane kadha, No deti nasta metyeka, No deti nasta metyeka, Samvidesha swayam prabha, Samvidesha swayam prabha, In the same way, in and through all the past and future months, years, yugas, kalpas to come, the pure consciousness is but one, which is self-effulgent. Neither was it ever born, nor does it ever become non-existent. The word used is samvidesha. Samvidesha means okay. Samvit esha. Okay, it is made up of two words, samvit and esha. What is this samvit? What is this consciousness? It is Swayam Prabha. Swayam Prabha means self-effulgent, self-knowing, self-conscious. Now, if it is self-conscious, are you not self-conscious? Why you have to be conscious of the truth somewhere, sometime, in future period of time, in some place, in a class, or at home, or in a temple, or in a retreat? Does not matter. Self-effulgence means I am illuminating myself. I am knowing myself. Nobody has the experience of not knowing themselves. Whether you are going through waking dream or deep sleep, still you know yourself, isn't it? Otherwise you won't be here. I can't even use that statement. Otherwise you won't be here. Your body may not be here, you will still be there. Meaning the consciousness will still be there. So, and when we say that the consciousness cannot be known, it is beyond the mind, nothing can know it, words cannot reach it. Why? Because it is self-effulgent, Swayam Prabha. Only it can know itself. Mind cannot know it. In the same way, in and through all the past and future months, years, yugas, Swayam Prabha Samvit Eka, the pure self-effulgent consciousness is but one. So just like you have gone through myriads of waking, dream, deep sleep cycles from birth till today, you have continued to be the same one. You cannot say the child me was different to the youth me, was different to be the 50-year-old me or the 70-year-old me. You can't say that. If you say that you are different, then your attention was on the body, your attention was on the size, your attention was objective in nature, and with those objects you are determining the change. But the one who is experiencing all that objectivity as a child, as a teenage, as a youth, as a grown-up, as an adult, as a senior citizen, is one and the same. He hasn't gone anywhere. So recognize you are that. Na udeti na astamiti. Na udeti, it is not born and it never dies. So what do we have a feeling? That waker is born, and when the dream comes, the waker dies and the dreamer is born. Then the dreamer dies and the deep sleeper is born. And then the deep sleeper dies and the waker is born again, or the dreamer is born again. So continuously there is coming and going. But do you have a feeling that from childhood to now you have ever gone anywhere? Do you have the feeling? No, I am 50 years old. No, in between I was missing. You don't have that experience of your absence in the last so many years, from childhood till now. So that continuous principle, which came to know the various wakers, dreamers and deep sleepers, come to focus on that principle. And don't look at that principle objectively somewhere. Recognize, because this analysis has to be subjective, not objective in nature. Don't leave this analysis in the books. This analysis is right now happening to within ourselves, on ourselves. I am the waker we are talking about. I am the dreamer we are talking about. I am the deep sleeper we are talking about. I am the one who knows these three coming and going. So be aware of it at this very moment. It has no beginning and it has got no end. It is self-existing, Sat Swarupa. It is also Swayam Prabha, self-effulgent, Chit Swarupa, self-knowing. The consciousness is only one. That which is existence, Sat is itself consciousness. Chit, that Sat and Chit are not two, they are one and the same consciousness. It requires no other authority to prove its existence, nor any other light to illuminate. So I am existence for as long as I became aware of myself. I know I exist in the past. I know I am existing now. And the fear comes, will I be existing in the future? So break the cycle. I existed in the past, I am existing now. Which me? The real me. I know I existed. Nobody else can tell me whether I did or not. I know I am. You break that is the way to cut the fear about will I exist in the future or not. The fearlessness will come. Having dealt with the Sat and Chit aspect of the truth, the third aspect of Ananda is now taken. We can look at this in the next class. Or we can do it and then summarize it again next week. Iyam atma paranandaha, iyam atma paranandaha, parapremaspadam yataha, parapremaspadam yataha, manabhuvam hi bhuyasam, manabhuvam hi bhuyasam. Iti prematmanikshate, iti prematmanikshate. This pure consciousness referred in last shloka is one's own self, the nature of which is supreme bliss. Because we love ourselves the most, this love for the self, Atma, is seen to express as, may I never cease to be, may I ever be present. Exactly the point that I made before, it is reflecting that may I never cease, may I continue to be. So what we are doing right now, we are using external objective stimuli and objects to continue to make sure that we continue to exist permanently. And therefore the medicines, the good food, the good temperature and a good bed and everything. But death will still come of the body. So what we are trying to extend and make the body to be permanent through all our efforts, because we are identified with the body. What needs to be recognized is that this conscious principle, which is independent of the body, which is supporting this body, mind, intellect, equipment, that is the continuous principle. Then this fear that I must continue, this thought will not come. This thought will not come. And that thought will only cease with self-realization, not any other way. Only with self-realization. Because we love ourselves the most, anything that gives us the maximum happiness is loved by us. Therefore, this Atma, I, is of the nature of supreme bliss. This Pratyag Atma, this I, how is it experienced by everyone? Everyone experiences this I as I alone. Nobody says, I am different to, I am not I. Nobody says that. So, just like we said, everyone experiences the emptiness the same way. On one side, the deep sleep everyone experiences the same way. A dark room everyone experiences the same way. Similarly, everyone experiences the I also the same way. As a subjective experience. Everyone. You also experience the I subjectively. He also is in meditation, experiences the I subjectively. You too, she too, I too, everyone. So how can there be many I's if everyone is I? Point to be pondered. Because we cannot deal with this conclusion, therefore we say, I am Teresa, I am Deven, I am Louis. We call that I by different names because we are unable to comprehend the enormity, the totality of that I. That's why we give the various names. We are divorced from that totality. Spirituality, contemplation is a way so that you click, your mind clicks with that totality. May I always be present. Everyone wants continuous presence because continuous presence is existence, and existence itself is consciousness, which is itself Ananda. The moment you become aware of your existence, not as a waker, not as a dreamer, not as a deep sleeper, but the moment you become aware of your own existence, that very moment Ananda comes. Those people who meditate on the Lord or the form of the Lord or the name of the Lord, they meditate on the form and they become one with the form. Their mind merges in that form. They experience the bliss of the Lord. Those who are taking the name of the Lord, the mind, first it is chanting loudly, then softly, then subtly, and then eventually it becomes no sound. Their mind has merged into the sound. Manifest sound is nothing but manifest mind. And as it slowly purifies, the mind merges into the sound merges into the mind, whichever way you may put, into its source. That's where the Ananda is. And as it goes further, goes back to its source, the joy that a seeker feels in his life is immense. The joy that you experience in deep sleep is immense compared to the waking and dream. So having no thoughts is a greater joy than having thoughts. That's why everyone looks forward to sleep. Imagine when you become aware of your own consciousness. When you become aware of your own existence. When you come to know that I have always existed, I am existing, and I will continue to exist. When this goes deep into your psyche, into your understanding, into your experience, and you know it is not just because someone said it, you've got no doubts left in your mind anymore about that you are that infinite. Then imagine the bliss that will be there. This is discrimination, this is Tattva Viveka. This is discriminating the reality, real principle from everything else. This is how we must contemplate. This is how you recognize yourself, not someone else, yourself. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Just sit quietly for a minute.